On live. Good evening. I would like to introduce myself. I'm Lois Long. I'm a school board member and a board member of Shabazz University. I want to introduce you to some classes that we're having. I'm waiting for Brother Malik to come in. I want to try to build my audience before I get in too deep with what I'm saying. So I'm going to wait. Assalamu alaikum, Queens. Brother Wakil. Assalamu alaikum. It's better for me to know, for you to ask questions so that I can know what you're interested in understanding about your child and public school system and what we can do as a people to make things better for our youth. Assalamu alaikum, Queen Shamanda. Brother Terrence Muhammad. Assalamu alaikum. All right, I'm about to get started. Please ask questions. It'll help me to understand your concerns. I want to go ahead and get started because it's after 6. So we want to talk about the biggest problems and issues that we are dealing with in our school system and our children. Basically, why are they not succeeding? Why is the prison rate so high? Why are we getting shot, getting killed, no matter whether we go to school and get our doctorates? We're still getting pulled out of cars, beat up, beat down. So the old theory to go to school and get out of the streets is really obsolete for us right now. So right now we're in the position where we're saying, okay, what do we do? Thank you, Brother Malik. And priest Brother Wakil. So I just want to inform you on the issues that I've seen being on the school board, disciplinary hearings and issues that parents have come to me with. And I'm going to give you insight on those until someone comes with a question, a specific question that they want me to answer. If I don't have the answer to the question, I'll research it. That's what we do as a school board member. A lot of times people come to us with an issue and we don't have to memorize how to fix it. We go to the policy and procedure book and find out. So that's what I'll do. Sister has a question. It says, do you feel that white educators could probably educate black students? Yeah, I had read that question before in a post, and I made the statement, this is my disclaimer, is 7 of us on the board, and I speak for myself. I don't speak for the whole board. This is my personal opinion. I believe that we have Caucasian teachers that are real good teachers. They're able to teach our children some things. I believe 1 + 1 is 2, no matter whether you black, yellow, or green. 1 + 1 is going to be 2, and you can teach somebody that. But the issues that plague our community, and especially our black young men, well, you know, different issues. Black young men have their issues. Our young queens have their issues. They can't address that. And if they do, say for instance, I have a lot of the teachers, the black teachers that work out, listen to them, and they'll make a statement like, you know, going in the grocery store, not putting your hands in your pocket, or how do you handle police, or how do you just anything, the trials and tribulations we're going to have to go through after we graduate, they have that insight. They can teach that to our children. When Caucasian teachers are teaching, if they were to say any of the same things, then they will be considered racist. So they can't really help our children as far as that's concerned. Sometimes they might give them what I consider false hope, because they will say you can, and really only they can. They don't realize that it's not like that in our world. Another thing I've noticed too is we have a stigma in our city about our children being bad educational system. And if you hear that, and then you go to school and you dealing with a child, and the child just so happens to have a problem, it's not even a problem, they might just be upset, then that teacher's heightened awareness of this culture that she's been told about, she sees it. So she says, yeah, that, these children can't learn. So then she ends up, to me, turning into this glorified babysitter. Your taxpayer money is paying it, so you're paying her for her to sit there and babysit your child and pray she keeps him or her alive until you come to get them or they come home. So that's what I think happens when we have Caucasian teachers for our students. They can teach but so much. Life skills, they can't. Now, at the same time, life skills are supposed to be learned at home. That's something, like I say, even if your child is in the public school system, you should always homeschool your child, because that's where they get family values and certain things that the teacher can't teach, don't know to teach. She don't know your family values. So if you can teach that at home, then even a Caucasian teacher can help your child to be successful. I prefer, I'm not going to say that. I'm going to say it might be better, especially if you have a single parent household and and the parent is probably working 2 or 3 jobs and can't really help, or their parental participation is down to checking homework or praying that the child went to school and praying that your child is self-motivated. With those parents, I really believe if they had a black teacher, woman or man, they can instill those values that the mother can't, because she's working too much to care for the child. I have questions coming up, and I hadn't been reading them. Let's see. White teachers cannot teach children. Yes, sir. That's true. Yes, sir. So, basically with that, it isn't too much they can do. When they look at a black child be disobedient, that's exactly what they call it, disobedient. When they see a Caucasian child so-called being disobedient, they say that he's hyperactive, he have ADHD, he needs medicine, or they look to see what kind of problems he might have at home. Did his parents get a divorce? Did somebody die? They don't think they probably went to jail. They're going to assume the best of the worst. So that's what we're dealing with, and that's a social stigma that goes beyond the educational system. But that's what I see, or how I see it affects it. Let's see. I feel that our children, 3rd grade. Yes, sir. Yeah, I'm gonna say something. I seen something about the 3rd grade. This is what happens. Now I homeschool my child, so when I did research to try to figure out my testing and how do I get her curriculum together and whatever, I realized between kindergarten and 1st grade on the Virginia Department of Education, they don't have any testing for you until you get to the 3rd grade. Now, when they teach you in the 3rd grade and they look at your reading level, that's when they determine whether they're going to build a jail cell for you. Because if you're not reading at a certain level on the third grade, at the third grade level, then chances are you're going to be a criminal, is what they expect. I notice the system is set up just only to know or understand that. Another thing that I want to read some more questions. Let's see, we have is only modified behavior. Okay, yeah, you know, this is what, you know, my daughter is not in the public school system because of our religion and her shots, not really because it's a bad education system. I mean, I believe I came from the same educational system, and, you know, regardless of whether they teach you good or not, you know, things, you succeed by self-determination, regardless of how ignorant you are, or ignorant they think you are, because like this statement says, if you try to make a fish climb a tree, if a teacher tried to make the fish climb a tree, you would think it is dumb all its life. And I think that, you know, our educational system is teaching us what our the rulers of the world wants to know. It's teaching their history. It's not really teaching us our history. So let's say everything is perfect. Let's say that the schooling, your school got all the funding it needs. It has all the teachers it needs. It has everything that it's supposed to be. At the same time, you are going to get only half of the knowledge, because in these books and these curriculums, nothing's in there to teach you about black history, the good, the bad, the ugly. Whether it's slavery, we get the Black History Month where everybody learns about it. They learn about 3 or 4 people. We always hear Martin Luther King, Harriet Tubman, and Paul Laurence Dunbar, maybe. You know, so we have to, that's what Shabazz University is going to bring to the table. It's going to bring the other perspective. You know, even if we're telling that story, because that doesn't mean that the history didn't exist, it didn't happen. It's just not telling all of the story. So to us, it seems like a lie. We'll get, you know, I look at the elementary school curriculum, and they'll talk about Christopher Columbus discovering America. So when you're a child and your brain hasn't developed, and you listen to that statement, you think, wow, nothing here existed until Christopher Columbus came over here and found this for us. And this is the sentiment that our children, and what they're saying is not a lie. This is when he did discover it. He discovered it, and they're telling the story of his life. But what about the Moors that already lived here? What about the Native American image? They tell the truth, they tell half the truth, but the image for the children with their undeveloped minds is that's the all in all and in all. So what it does is it creates a environment for white supremacy to flourish for us. If we knew our true history, I did a walk, I take tours at Pocahontas Island, where the first free blacks lived. This is the same curriculum as a story, you know, of Petersburg. Is our history. Is written in the Virginia curriculum, and that's what we supposed to use to gauge our SOLs. And our children are not getting the knowledge, and I'm trying to figure out why. Why are they testing so low in history when this is a strong, our historical knowledge is not been torn down. The buildings still exist. I mean, is other places that have monuments. You go to a museum like in DC somewhere, and you see pictures of this same stuff that we're walking on the same grounds of. We don't have to go to a museum. Our city is the museum. And our children don't know nor understand this history, and it's part of their curriculum. It's supposed to be taught in the school systems. Is it where are they failing? Is it Is it the Caucasian teacher looking at it saying, oh my God, I'm not going to say this because it gives black people too much power and too much courage or too much knowledge? Is it black people being scared to say it because they're still scared of white supremacy and not being proud of themselves? Why are our children not learning this deep-rooted history that is right here in our face that they should know and understand, and it would probably help to free them? When you go to a land where the first free blacks live all the way from 500 AC to now, this place has always been black owned. And I'm not talking about black people populated. I'm talking about freed slaves, freed men. That means they never were slaves. They were just only free people. Always lived there. After Christopher Columbus came and invaded, that was the influx of Caucasian people on Pocahontas Island, where white people, Caucasian people, moved in on the island. Some of the mulattoes were half white, half black, might have looked Caucasian because they looked more like a Caucasian man than an Obama man. And I say Obama because Obama's a mulatto who looks black. They all lived there way before Christopher Columbus ever came. So to know and understand that would be to question the teacher when she say Christopher Columbus discovered America, and then you ask her, what about the Moors? Well, if she don't know or don't understand, if she's not conscious and she don't know, she said, more what? They can't teach our babies what they need to know to free themselves. But then we as parents need to understand it's not their job. It's not their job. If you think that the educational system is bad, we got to look at ourselves and say, what are we doing or not doing to help this? Because it really takes the community together, the teachers, the administrators, the school board, the children themselves. Because if you correct every other person, from the teachers to the parents, if the children are not motivated themselves, there's nothing you can teach them. So even though our Caucasian teachers can't teach our children, sometimes our black teachers can't teach our children, we need to realize what's lacking, because the motivation is on you as a parent for your child to be, yes ma'am. She said, we need more of this black owned. Yes ma'am. We need to get together. We need, I'm going to say, because of you making that statement, if we teach our children, school's not going to teach them to do nothing but get a better job. A lot of times school system is focused, or the teacher is focused because she went to college, is to teach the child to continue to go to school. Well, everybody's not an academic. You know, everybody's not meant to go to college. I was one of them. I look at myself, and I was a CD student. I was average or below average. I couldn't get it no matter how hard I tried. When the teacher gave me an F, it made me feel bad. I felt like a failure. The lesson learned when I got older was I never failed. I just didn't know it yet. I'm slow, but I'm not stupid. So to be in that environment, not at your own pace, can hinder your spirit, can hinder your ability to think that you can succeed, because you already so-called keep failing. I look at myself now being on the school board, as a school board member, and all those teachers who told me I was not going to make it if I didn't try harder, when I was trying my best, I would be their boss right now. So I say that to say you have to watch. We have to watch what we think and say to our students. For that reason, when you send your child off to the school, You subjecting them to what somebody else thinks, to their opinions, to their criticisms of your child. A lot of times our children get tagged when they so-called bad children. They're not bad children, they're just a child going through issues. A lot of times the teacher doesn't understand what they call trauma-informed care. Our children are going through traumatic experiences. We all have. We've been through 400 years of slavery. And I can see from me to my daughter something. I remember watching a movie called Psycho. And from then on, I have never been able to get in the shower with a dark curtain. I've always had to have clear curtains. My daughter doesn't know this. And I was probably younger than her or her age at the time when I seen this movie. But for some reason, she's the same way. Now, this is from one generation to the next. But we have 400 and something years of this. Traumatic experiences. Children seeing their parents, you know, mother get raped and dad gets shot for trying to defend the mother getting raped, so then he don't do anything. And he just, and that's going into our children's psyche, whether they realize it or not. They don't know what's wrong with them. Then on top of that, more recently, we had the crack epidemic. So we had mothers that was running the streets trying to get drugs, and their children might be crack babies. Some of them missed that mark, but then their grandmothers raised them, and then their grandmom's like, well, I failed my child because she's on crack, so now I'm gonna give this child everything that the other one didn't. I'm gonna be a better, and then they spoil them. So then you have these spoiled children that was raised by this great grandma. I mean, I said great meaning good grandmother, but when they hear no, they go off because they're not used to hearing no. So these are the issues we're dealing with our children. Even if you were the best parent, and I know I have an example of, I'm not going to say a name, I'm just an example of a person who had 5 children. I know one of the children on crack, the other one robbing, and then they have a president of a bank and a president of a college within that one same family. So I say, even with all these stigmas, the trauma, everything we're going through, is still that child's individual duty to want to be successful. You have to instill it in their child. And your child, I think, when I look at the environment that we're in, and you always have the diamond out of the rough, or you can go into another environment where most of the children are doing very well, and you have that one bad one. When you have a situation like that, you can only analyze the person themselves, not any elements around them. Because in our school system, everybody has a blame game. You got to blame it. The teachers blaming the parents blaming the teachers. Somebody's blaming the administrator, the people blaming the school board, and we can't do but so much. So I say that to say this: we have to do what we can. If everybody was like all hands on deck, we need all hands on deck. We need parents to become more active in their children's life. If you are doing the best you can, give it 1% more. If you're too busy to go to your child's functions and do anything other than check their homework, or can't check their homework, that's when you call in reinforcements. You have your neighbors, you have your mentoring, you have organizations and stuff that will help your children with their, help them get tutored, help them get mentored. Because I used to say Trump, but now I can't say him. Every millionaire I know still has a mentor. They still ask somebody their advice. They still get guidance from somebody who specialized or professional in whatever you. Peace. Peace, Sister Renee. I keep disconnecting, so I'm trying to wait till the audience build back up. Thank y'all. Thank y'all for tuning back in. I apologize. Truly apologize. So, basically, we were just talking about... Thank you, Queen. Thank you. Okay. Good. Good. All right. So, yeah, basically, we were just talking about how to help your what we need to do to help our children, and basically the devil. Yes, ma'am. That's what I was thinking the first time, but you know what? I don't want to get a devil that much power. Yeah, I think we're gonna get this right regardless. Yes, ma'am. All right. So, but yeah, I basically finished my point about keeping it simple. If you don't know what to do to help, ask somebody. Get a mentor, get a tutor. Let your teacher know. Sometimes the teacher will call and tell you that she has an issue with your child. And the best thing you don't want to do is get an attitude problem with her or take it personal, because as far as the teachers are concerned, their job is in the best interest of the student. That's unless they have a personal problem or, they have a character clash. But other than that, if they come to you with an issue, then chances are they're doing it so they can get it resolved. So if you listen to what the teacher is saying to you, don't respond, just tell them thank you. Then talk to the child about the same incident and see how the child sees it, because everybody's going to see this incident different. I know when I handle cases, if somebody brings something to me and they say something, I don't just take their word for it. I listen to every name they say, and then I'll talk to those people that they talked about and see what they feel about it before I come up with my solution. So I think as a parent, that's what we need to do. We need to talk to our children after we've talked to the teacher. And then you can get a better scope of what's going on, and you can rectify the situation. And I say why you can rectify the situation, because you're the only one that can make a decision when it comes to your child. Now, a teacher can suggest something. The administrator can try to enforce something, but it can only go through if the parent agrees. So I say that you're definitely in charge when it comes to your child being in the school system. Anything they might bring to you, I say the IEPs, if you don't know what the IEP is, individual learning plan, that has a stigma to it too, because normally that's some child that has gotten in trouble for some reason or another, and then they go before the board or a hearing, and then they give them this IEP plan, which is this specified teaching method for your child. Well, in the true essence, all children need that. All children have different goals. All children have different learning capacities. All children have different learning rates. So if you leave it up to the school system, you got that one-stop shop. So you don't want to leave your child's fate of education and or success to the school. You want to take some responsibility yourself. I believe that one thing we can do is join and register to Shabazz University, because that to me would be an asset. Because I think even if you do go to school, I said you want to homeschool your child, well, if you don't have the knowledge to homeschool your child, we have experts coming in. We have Sister Shamanda Owens, teacher, educator. She speaks. Dr. Malik Zulu Shabazz, lawyer. So these are people who are experts in different fields. I'm going to bring in some experts that talks about trauma-informed care one week. She will go in depth with helping you understand if your child is going through trauma. I can't imagine the children of the people the Me Too movement, and those people never said anything. You have children that might been raped or molested, or something has happened, and they haven't even told their parents because they were scared. So their child's going through this trauma, and all you're telling them is go to school and get a good education and do the best you can and don't bring no F's home, and you don't realize this child is going through something. You might know the child's going through something. If you have you got a divorce, or your boyfriend broke up, or you and your husband or your mate are fussing and arguing, and the house home is broken. That child is going through something. That child carries that with them. That child carries that burden with them. And when you have a burden, when you're upset, when you're sad, when you're scared, when you're fearful, you can't learn. You can't think when you're scared. You can't think when you're sad. If your grandmother just passed away, you're not thinking about school. You're not learning 1 + 1 = 2 because you're thinking about your issues. So I think that, to understand sometimes yes ma'am, individual education plans, all students should have one. That's right, in their portfolio. Everyone needs to be taught personally. Everybody has their own personal blueprint for getting to for their road to success. And another topic I wanted to touch on is dealing with the bullying issue. Now, we've had somebody came down to do a documentary on Petersburg and us turning our city around, and they interviewed me, and we talked about the issues that plague our city. Let me go back to this. I want to say this to my brothers and sisters who watching. Back in the days, before we had these elaborate schoolhouses, ACs, everything, we were in a one-room schoolhouse. Back in the days, we really didn't go to school. That was a Caucasian thing. We had to work. So we were on a farm with them. But we learned by practical learning. We were hands-on learners. So if we understand that that's the way we do things, we're not theoretical information up in the air and we digest it. We got to see it. We got to feel it. We got to do it one time. After we done it this time, then we know what we're dealing with. We are that type of people. We are the builders of America. We built in Egypt, Kemet. We built those pyramids. We are the builders. We have the knowledge. We have all we need to be successful besides the public school system. I'm not talking against it. I'm just saying that is not our only hope. I believe that we need to use that tool to assist us, but not make it our all in all. I want to try to read some of these questions because I've just been talking. Student, yes ma'am, that's right. That's another thing. Children being able to trust their teachers. I have a couple of, I call them my babies. And they always help me. They're always around. They so-called bad in school, but they're really not bad. They just need a little bit more help than others. But they have a couple teachers that they love them, that looks out for them. But at the same time, us as parents, for those that don't have that, even though they're a so-called bad child, if they don't have that person that's pulling their coattail, telling them, I know you can do it, be that parent. If you're that parent who participates and go see your child all the time, you visit the school system, that other so-called bad child, or that child that you know has that single parent that doesn't participate, single parent that can't participate, no matter how much she would love to, go check on that next child. Because what would change some of these children mindsets and ideas about themselves if when they know somebody cares. So you have somebody else's parent. Let's say I walk into school to see my son or daughter, and I peep into that other child to check on child's classroom to check on little Johnny, and I let him know I got my eyes on him, give him the thumbs up, and keep on walking. That in itself might be good enough for that child to change his mind, because he knows that there's another adult who cares about him and got their eyes on him. So I think sometimes we have to go above and beyond the call of duty as parents to help out the other ones for our society. It's not personal. It's not, that's not my child. Because it will be your child, or that child will affect you if by the third grade he's on a kindergarten reading level and he's going to be locked up or robbing your house in a minute. So that might be the child that you want to stick your foot out and help just a little bit more as you help your own. Let me go to some more questions after that point. Thank you, Sister Shamanda. Sister Shamanda is going to probably do some of the other parental involvement because she is a teacher. She's going for her superintendent license, and she's doing great things. She's conscious. She's going to teach from probably a teacher's perspective. When I knew that Brother Malik wanted me to do this, I did contact some teachers and wrote down some information that they thought that they wanted to share. Is basically what I'm saying. What can you do to help them? I'm going to read this to you. It says, they basically want better communication. Now I say that even if you can't do something, just let them know you can't do it. I can't come to the school more often. I can't, my child's being bad. I don't know what's going on with him. I don't understand it. Because those teachers have resources if you give them permission. Now, if you don't give them permission, they just going to be bad, keep getting suspended, keep getting put out. If you ask for help, then they can pull resources to help you, to help your child. Thank you. I'm going to try to go back and see if I can see any of these questions. I think I've answered all the questions. I want to talk to you about what we're going to be going in depth with when I bring in my expert on trauma-informed care to help our children with the traumas that we're dealing with. We all need it. I don't care if your child's been something's happened to them recently, or you feel like nothing's wrong with them. 450 years of slavery puts you in a state of trauma and is embedded in our DNA, and we all need help from it, I guarantee. So yeah, I'm gonna have her come in and talk to us more about environmental well-being, social and emotional learning, trauma-informed care itself, positive behavioral intervention, restorative support, and soft skills. These are just stuff in general that our children need to know, want to know. Some of our teachers in the school system are getting this training, and they should all get it. Our school system is stepping up because it's 91% black here. And our Caucasian teachers need the help in understanding who they're dealing with. Our black teachers need to understand what they're dealing with. And some of them are getting the training, some of them aren't. So if you as a parent can understand this, then you can diagnose for yourself, and then you can tell your teacher what you would like or if you see something with your own child, you know, if you can't you can't tell them to do something with another child, but daggone. Am I back on live? Good. Alright. I'm learning how to work this a little better. We're going to begin a national parent advocacy group at Shabazz University, Brother Malik just stated. So that's definitely needed. I think that completes what I wanted to speak on, and like I said, I'm gonna bring in some more experts to touch on some subjects. I want to make a couple announcements. September 1st, we're having Shabazz University is going to be on the ground. Pocahontas Island is going to be a spiritual, educational event, and I'm talking about for the whole family. I want you to bring everybody with you, mama, daddy, children, uncles, aunts. We all need to see this, know and understand this information.